Hey everybody, welcome to this week's show. We are talking with Zuzu, and she is going to bring us some very interesting information. She has a really great background in nutrition, gut health, herbalism. She's dealt with her own health issues. She's worked, I believe, with a Johns Hopkins study as well. She's done a lot of really interesting stuff. So, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Well, thank you, Justin, and thanks for all you do. Don't you just love I love weeds. I'm one of those weed lovers, Like, there's no such thing as a weed.
Right.
Trust me on this. You can use everything. And I recently was speaking to someone that had come into our wellness center, and we've got a huge apothecary, and then a big wellness center, et cetera, and store. But I said everything in my store is literally everything up there in the apothecary, just put together differently. That's basically what we use. We use the earth to heal, and it has been the best journey of my life. It's really been an amazing time. So yes, my name is Zuzu, and I'm a holistic healthcare practitioner. Holistic Health Educators is an online school of natural medicine. We teach the science behind natural healing. We bridge Western and Eastern medicine for good. That's our tagline. We are bridging Western and Eastern medicine for good because you need both. Both of them used together the right way has been just incredibly tremendous. We've just been able to see incredible results over and over and over for 20-some years now. So that's what we're doing. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I forgot to say your last name. Zuzu Arms, A-R-M-E-S. And you're known as the Cell Health Protector. I like that. But tell me, you've had issues in the past with epilepsy, is that right?
I did, yeah. I had epilepsy growing up. And when I got married and wanted to have children, I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to be on 3 medications. And I had started drinking green drinks maybe a couple of years earlier. When I was in college, I was introduced to drinking a green drink, spinach and kale and pineapple or whatever else you put in there. And I thought, I'm going to do this more naturally. And so I started studying and researching, and that was before the World Wide Web. For all those young people, there was a time and an age where we actually had to research, and it was great, and was able to get off of all my medications and just using food. And I know now that I was drawn to the GABA-rich foods because a lot of seizures are obviously the electricity in the body is controlled by a neurotransmitter called GABA, and I was lacking GABA. And so because I was lacking GABA, I had neurons and synapses that weren't connecting, and I was able to rebuild that and not have a seizure again. And I've worked with so many people who also never had seizures again. So it's been a really neat journey. That was a neat thing to learn and a neat thing to share.
Absolutely, yeah. So years ago, I worked in a vitamin shop, the name of which I will not repeat. Was fired because people would come in and ask me, what can I do for this, or what can I do for that? And one thing that had really just become popular, I was dumb enough to answer their questions, having been, working in herbalism and everything I started my apprenticeship when I was 15, so By the time I was in the vitamin store, I was like, I don't know, 22. So I already had 7 years of herbal experience and such hands-on. And so people would come in and ask me stuff. And I got fired for telling them, this does that. Apparently you can't say that legally. So one of the things that was popular again, people were just starting to look into was supplemental GABA. But there was the question of whether or not it would pass the blood barrier to the brain. Have you found that supplemental GABA is effective, or do you just really look for it in foods?
Excellent question. And I'm so happy for you. Like that, you're the kind of person they wanted to come talk to at the health food store, at the supplement store. So I'm so sorry that you weren't allowed to stay there. But yeah, we have to watch our words differently. My new thing is I just say, well, historically speaking.
Exactly.
Well, historically speaking, I've done that for 20 years. But yes, it actually depends on the type of GABA. So I am a whole food connoisseur. I'm also a big believer, obviously, using from herbs. Here's the thing I found with GABA is I would rather fix the nervous system so it makes GABA than take GABA. Now, that being said, it does take time to regenerate the nervous system because most people aren't aware of how they're damaging it. So I would love to discuss that. And then, to your point, GABA that has been reduced and able to be absorbed in the body in liposomal does far better. So we actually recommend a liposomal GABA without theanine, and that has worked tremendous instantly. I had a gentleman come in who had an extra Y chromosome, so he shook terribly. He shook. He could barely eat, and literally put him on the GABA L-theanine, and he stopped shaking, tremendously. He still shakes a little, but it was reduced dramatically. And he needed a lot of it, but because it was liposomal under his tongue, absorbed right into the bloodstream, it was able to pass through that and help. Now, I will say GABA, and this is something I'll let people know about GABA, is most of your GABA is actually made in the gut. But this is why we have so many seizures right now. We have so many people with Tourette's. It's just since COVID, quote unquote, that has just escalated because GABA needs, in order for GABA to be formed by the nervous system. So for those of you who aren't aware, the nervous system makes neurotransmitters. The endocrine system makes hormones. And in order for hormones to act, you actually need a very healthy nervous system. So when people have a hormonal issue, I don't recommend hormones. I recommend fixing the nervous system that is controlling the endocrine system, which is making the hormones. So if people do need a hormone temporarily while their endocrine system is getting repaired, great. Same thing with the neurotransmitters. So the nervous system, one of the main neurotransmitters is GABA, which does control the electricity in the body. GABA can only be made if it has the right pH in the body and the right, this is the key, microbiome diversity in the gut. When microbiome is the bacteria, and I'm sure most people listening to you are aware of this, but the diversity of the microbiome is extensively important when it comes to being used to create and build things such as neurotransmitters or hormones or even your cells, right? We actually need those bacteria, which we have obviously more bacteria in our body than we do human cells. We need that diversity in order to keep a healthy prostate. A lot of men have prostate cancer only because they don't have a diverse microbiome in their prostate. Your prostate needs a different microbiome than a vaginal canal or our gut. And when we went to Corrine and hand sanitizer and killing everything because we're insane, right? We killed everything during the bout of fear. Then we actually destroyed our gut's ability to create GABA. So by diversifying microbiome, using different probiotics and different fibers, and making sure we are not believing the lie that plants are poison and plants are toxic. Please, all of you who've ever heard that, obviously that's not right. That you only can't digest a plant because you just went carnivore for 6 months and you destroyed your microbiome. You can't break down a plant. That's the bacteria's job. Bacteria breaks down the plants, right? That's the fact. If you get rid of your bacteria, you can't break down a plant. Then you eat lettuce and you think that it's the plant's fault. No. Let's just reintroduce the healthy microbiome again, and then we can break down our plants. We can make GABA. We can make what we need. So that was the long answer to yes. GABA in liposomal form is very beneficial and can pass that blood-brain barrier and be able to help. But I've seen it instantly. Regular GABA, you need more of it. Some people don't need liposomal. They
back when I was working at that shop, I was doing a lot of research into that, and I recommended theanine as well. And gosh, there was one other amino acid I would recommend. I can't remember what it was right now. May have just been tryptophan or something. I don't remember if it was anything really exciting. But yeah, that totally makes a lot of sense. I'm a huge advocate for eating the widest variety of foods possible. I mean, my book is The Omnivore's Guide to Home Cooking. I believe in eating every kind of meat and fish, and of course plenty of game and wild fish, and every vegetable, foraging, gardening. My great-grandparents all lived to be almost 100 except for one, and that was more of a medical error issue than anything else. But like my great-grandfather lived to be over 100, strong and I mean really hard working till his very last days, vigorous and everything. Their diet was so much more diverse than ours. When I pick up an old cookbook from say like 1920, it will list over 100 varieties of apples and tell you, this one's good for pies, and this one's good for preserving, and this one's good for eating fresh, and all that. Now you go to the store, there are 5 varieties of apples, if you're lucky, right? I mean, yeah, they ate a far greater variety of food with far less chemicals on it as well. I mean, that's obvious. And I do believe that diversity is really a major reason we're seeing a lot of those chronic ailments, the lack of that diversity, I should say. But also, in my reading of what your PR person sent me, and she was very good following up. I'm not always that great at responding. She was really good. I really appreciated that because I wanted to have you on. Mentioned that you had used some natural health practices for scoliosis as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. And I thank you for bringing up the wide variety. And, I love talking about gardens, and if I can just add something that I hope, to me, it's a way for me to explain why a variety of vegetables is so important, and a variety of herbs is so important, and I'll 100% let all the listeners how I reverse scoliosis, because it is an amazing, amazing aspect of natural healing. Just a simple thing, when you plant those little seeds in the ground, and everybody's planting right now, I know it's garden season, all those roots are designed to do one thing: go and look for minerals to make that plant grow the seed, right, and the fruit, so it can reproduce. That's why every mineral, that's why the 100 varieties of corn that I used to have, or the 100 varieties of apples, and all the different greens that used to grow, all of them have different nutrient consistency, so you would get more boron than this, and more, phenylene, right? You get all these different things, all your minerals, your vitamins, and your amino acids, and that's the key, is people don't realize that your amino acids that build proteins all come in plants, 100% of them. You find them in plants. You can eat the animal that ate the plants, but eat the animal that ate the animal that ate the plants, but literally they all come from plants. That's why diversity is so exciting. Scoliosis. So, I didn't even know I had it when I was young, until I was in school, went to school, and then they found it. And by the time I was having children, it was really hard, and I would be down, for weeks at a time if I held the child on the wrong hip at the wrong time for too long, or if I was tacking something to move. And so by the time I was 50, I'm like, that's it, I'm going to reverse it. I've helped so many people reverse so many things, I'm going to get rid of my scoliosis. And so I started going, I researched this doctor who, it was in Germany hundreds of years ago, and she had reversed like 100% of all the patients that ever came to her that had scoliosis. And she did it by having them, they came to stay with her, and she would put them outside and in her clinic and all around, almost naked, bending over like chairs and couches and trees and stumps and rocks and like whatever, bending them and having them do deep breathing into these arches and into these bends. And using oxygen and releasing the myofascia, which probably didn't even have a name back then, right? She was able to help 100% of her people over the course of, months of time staying with her through diet and oxygen. And so I thought, okay, well, I teach about myofascia. I teach 100 fascia specialist. I would continue stretching in my hyperbaric chamber. I bought a hyperbaric chamber, and I know not everybody can do that, but I'm telling you, if you need $5,000 or $8,000, you'll be amazed at where you can find it if you stop spending money on everything else. And so we had bought one earlier, so I started using that, not every day, but I used it often enough that I would also stretch in the chamber and breathe into those stretches. And so, yeah, my scoliosis was gone.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, great advice. I mean, I say, okay, so my scoliosis, I had the corkscrew spine. Okay, it actually, you could see it would stick out on the side of my neck, and my head was off balance and all that. And when I was about 18, 19 years old, I was working a job and unloading a truck, and they dropped a case of cast iron lawn furniture on me. And I caught it in midair and turned around and sat it down, blew out three discs, and fractured 2 vertebrae. So I was paralyzed for almost 2 years. And well, I tried everything. I mean, I was studying traditional Chinese medicine at the time. I did acupuncture. Give me a little relief for a while. I had been teaching yoga. I could not do yoga anymore. I mean, because I could not bend my back, obviously. I was doing qigong and everything, and I could get a little relief and using, antispasmodic herbs and such. And one day I turned on the television and I couldn't get off the sofa, and it was before remote controls, I couldn't get off the sofa.
I love you, Justin.
And Pat Robertson came on and said, "There's a young man in the mountains of North Carolina who's paralyzed, and I have a word of knowledge he will be healed in this instant." And a warmth went through my back, and I could walk again, and my spine straightened, and I grew 2 inches. That's how crooked my spine had been. And it totally changed my life, and, I went on from there, and became a youth minister for a while, and all kinds of different things, and ended up working in politics, and then finally came back to herbal medicine. But let me tell you, there was no doctor, there was no chiropractor, there was nobody that could heal my back. But the myostate, that makes a lot of sense, and the stretching in that way, and the hyperbaric, that makes a lot of sense. Because not everybody's going to get a miracle. That's not the way the world works.
Well, honey, what the Lord needed you, we need to do. Let's do it. I love it. This is great. I said, God needed you. He knew we needed you. So yours cost a lot less. I'll tell you that much.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
It's so great.
Well, there was the downside to it as well. I had been on the opioids long enough to get hooked, and coming off of that was really not pleasant. If there's any way people can get around taking prescription pain meds, I highly recommend it. You do not want to spend 10 days and nights without sleep gnawing on the carpet. Not a good situation at all. Yeah, I still have a lot of pain. I got, pinched nerves and such because, just long-term structural issues. But, yeah, I mean, it was just amazing. When my spine straightened, you talk about how you were carrying your child and things would go out. I could not believe how naturally stronger I was.
Yes. Just today, I was unloading a truck with my daughter. We were visiting, and a case of apples came in and a case of this. And I was 400 pounds. And I was lifting everything. And she's like, "Mom, you don't got to lift that apple box." I'm like, "Honey, do you forget? I don't have that problem anymore. Lift the apple box." It was like, wow, when your body gets a lot. And my favorite part about this is that spinal column, and this happened to you. If you think about it, you've got that 2 to 4 pound brain sitting on a 2-ounce atlas. You guys, it's 2 ounces is that top vertebrae, right? And that atlas, through that atlas are 31 sets of nerves. You've got 62 nerves going through your spinal column out to all the organs, glands, and tissues to deliver communication. My very favorite study that I read about when I was becoming a holistic healthcare practitioner was this group of chiropractors who, and I don't know if you've heard this one yet or not, Judson, but it's so cool. They took all these cadavers, they took 6 of them, and they said, "Don't tell us how they died, we're going to tell you." And they stripped those cadavers down to the nerves, and with 100% accuracy. This person died of a spleen rupture, this person died of this person died of this heart issue caused by this valve. All of it came down to the nerves. 100% of them did. And I was like, that transformed me. And I love talking about the nervous system because people just don't don't know what they're doing is damaging. They don't know. People do not know because we're not taught that when we're young. But that nerve itself, and maybe I'm so passionate because it changed my life getting rid of epilepsy, but the nerve itself is made out of oil. Like whatever you're eating. So you got to own it. Like if you just had, fish fries or fish and chips or whatever you're eating, they're full of, all those oils are building your nervous system. And so we can do two things today to increase the health of our nervous system. Number one, change the oil we're eating. Go to organic olive oil only, and go to maybe some coconut oil. That's great too, some organic cold-pressed coconut oil. And then eat avocados, and eat your chia seeds, and your flax seeds, and your hemp seeds, right? Eat walnuts, eat those things that are phenomenally high in healthy oils. A fish, whatever you want to do there, but then avoid sugar. Oh my gosh, isn't it hard to watch into our world because of sugar? Sugar, just for those of you who might not know, sugar is myelin sheath. It just chops up the myelin sheath, which you just built with your healthy oil. So eating healthier oils will displace the bad oil that not only coats that your myelin sheath around every nerve in the body, but it also is how every cell is formed. The outside layer of the cell is oil, lipid, lipid, water, lipid. So the oils we eat, and then limiting our sugar, and boom. So
and people.
I'm so glad I you.
And then people are always recommending statins and such, and then they wonder why they have frozen shoulder syndrome or something. And I mean, to this day, and now I could be wrong. You've done more research in this. I have yet to read a medical study that actually proves a causal relationship between cholesterol and heart disease. A causal relationship. Yeah, you haven't either. Yep. Okay, we're good.
No. And when I wrote my book, I did. You have to be, your body, and the thing that people don't realize is your body makes all the cholesterol you need. It does. Your body makes everything you need. If you get some extra, that's great. Get some bonus here. But what I do know is that if a lot of people have their gallbladders removed, well, now we're going to have a problem because you actually need bile.
Exactly.
You need bile to make sure that the cholesterol you make and the cholesterol you eat is absorbed. So people who don't have a gallbladder, every single time I work with a client and I ask them, okay, what organs have been removed? And they're like, oh, my gallbladder. I'm like, okay, did they put you on ox bile? And they're like, what? I said, well, you don't have a gallbladder that did something. Do you know what it did? No. Okay, well, let's talk about this. And all of them, almost without fail, constipated, their bowels aren't working right. And I'm like, because bile is what triggers your bowel movements. And bile is how you absorb your fats and your cholesterol. So, of course, you have hormone issues because you're not on ox bile or whatever you're going to be taking for that. It's so people just realize that when I buy a car, I don't look at the engine and decide what parts to pluck out. Like, I actually need all the parts in my car, all the filters, all of everything, And you can't just take something out without replacing what it did.
Oh, yeah, I deal with this all the time, especially women with gallstones. And they're always contacting me, what can I do? I always say, first thing in the morning, before you eat anything, have a spoonful of olive oil and eat a pickle.
And eat a pickle.
That's it.
I love it.
Purge that gallbladder.
A medical doctor just told one of my clients that they had to have their gallbladder removed that minute, and she's like, no. She's like, because she just found us. She's like, they get rid of gallstones all the time on all of our retreats. They all flush out. He's like, no, you can never remove a gallstone. They're there for life. That's just emulsified fats. But no, they can never remove a gallstone. And I'm like, medical doctors are telling our people that. And I'm like, we have surgeons. We do ultrasounds. Our surgeon does ultrasounds, and you can see the kidney stones shrinking and disappearing. You can see the gallstones leaving the body. So I think it's just interesting, I don't know where the education is coming from, but there's so much, and I love that so many medical doctors, I don't know if you, but many medical doctors take our program. I just had another medical doctor graduate our program because with holistic health educators, we teach how the cells function, and we teach a lot about obviously physiology and anatomy, but we teach it from a standpoint of everything, how it affects the cell. Because that's all we are. We're just a big bag of fat and a big bag of cells, right? A big bag of cells. And so it's wonderful to see that there are a lot of people in the medical community. We're international. We have students all around the earth, right? The whole earth is covered with our students. They can graduate in 100 different languages, and I don't speak 100 languages, just putting it out there, but it's been amazing because at least probably a third of our students right now are medical because people are wanting to bridge. So this is the best time we've had in a long time, and hopefully even with what's all happening in our countries, we will be able to continue to progress in merging Western and Eastern medicine, because Eastern medicine's been around for 5,000 years. You know that. You teach that. And yet Western medicine's been around for a couple hundred. So bridging, taking the good from both is really the way we're going to be able to amplify the health of our nation here in America and throughout the world.
Totally agree. And of course, Western medicine was almost entirely plant-based until about the 1920s. I mean, I've got the old pharmaceutical dispensatories and all that, and they were using what they called crude drugs and compounding them right there. So really, it's all the chemical stuff that I'm not. I mean, if it works, I'm not opposed to it. But you got to show me it works. I mean, it was just yesterday there was a story on the news about how this new Alzheimer drug is supposed to get rid of the proteins, amyloid proteins. It's getting rid of them, but they're not showing any improvement. And the doctor's on there. He's like, "Well, why am I using this if it doesn't work?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why are you prescribing it if it doesn't work?" But anyway. Go ahead and give us all your, we got about 4 minutes left. Go ahead and give us all your specifics. Tell us about the center. Tell people how they can get in touch with you. Tell us about your book. Give me your email address, all your contact information so people can follow up. Because I know everybody's going to want to follow up with you.
Well, any way we can help, we will. We love your guts. Just know that right now. Anybody listening, you just found people that love your guts, and you'll see that. I drove all of 22 looking for it, opened up a retreat center. And in my 33-foot RV, which I wrapped in chromosomes and organs, and it looks super cool, but it also says in 2.5-foot letters, "We love your guts." Because we really do. We want you to, and I probably love your guts more than you guys love your guts. You can find us at you can find us many places, but we created a landing page, ZuzuUnleashed.com. Unleashed because, the heck with it, I'm 58, I've been doing this for 40 years, I can talk about anything, so I just love to share. And so you'll find a link to HolisticHealthEducators.com. That's our international school. You'll find a link to Lilyfield Center, and Lilyfield Center is a retreat center in Hawkinsville, Georgia, 2 hours south of Atlanta, where people come and stay for 5 days to 2 months or longer, and they just eat, and they just detox, and they just get well. It's just a wonderful place to hang out and be well, and we see transformative things happen. Within 7 days, it is incredible, because we do live blood cell analysis. We do, we do a 7 to 9 point analysis, but we do thermal imaging, and we do the ultrasounds, and we do all of the different blood work and urinalysis. But to see the difference in the microscope, under the microscope, from day 1 to day 7 is mind-blowing. So you can find Lilyfield Center there as well. We also have some programs. I have a couple free ebooks that you can download at ZuzuUnleashed.com. My book, the 4th edition, is almost done. I am so excited. So the 4th edition is almost done. It'll be available, I'm assuming, by the end of spring here, early summer of 2026. And that is called Live with Energy, Never Be Sick Again, because that is something we've professed for decades now, and it works. So if you're looking to, and then we do a lot of podcasts. I love podcasts, and I love speaking, so I'll come to any country just to speak, because if there's something that we can do to help people understand their bodies better, we all learn, we all love. And the Johns Hopkins, my daughter actually graduated from Johns Hopkins. When she grew up with people coming to our clinic and then leaving getting well. And we hosted the largest expos, holistic health expos, and it was just fun. So she thought she was growing up in public health. So when she went to college, she was like, "Hey, I'm going to go into public health." Yeah, that was a wake-up call. She's like, "Wait a minute, this is not public health." But she graduated Johns Hopkins, has written many letters to them, encouraging them to maybe bring in some of our curriculum, because we would love to work, we'd love for people to get better educated on how the bodies function and what they can do at home. But that's where the Johns Hopkins comes from. Amy is the CEO of Holistic Health Educators, and she's a spitfire. She's a lot of fun. So it's been a lot of fun. We love what we do.
Yeah. Well, I've really enjoyed this, and I want to have you back on sometime. Maybe we can do this at least once a year, so let's stay in touch. I want you to keep people posted on what you're doing. It's just really fascinating. Like I said, when the PR person that works for you, cannot remember her name, I'm sorry, I should, sent me the email. Yes, Grace. I was like, oh yeah, I remember her. Okay, yeah, we need to do this. We need to do this. So I'm glad we did this. It's been great. So y'all be sure to look up Zuzu's work. It's really fascinating. We're definitely all looking forward to the new edition of her book coming out. And hopefully she'll come back with us. You know, I went to the University of Georgia. I didn't go to Johns Hopkins. I went to UGA. So I know where you are, and I absolutely love that part of the country. And their barbecue's not as good as we have in North Carolina. You have to admit that.
Oh, okay. I don't eat barbecue, but I guarantee you that North Carolina, I love North Carolina.
Yeah,
So
but the catfish is better. There's no doubt. Georgia has the best catfishing in the entire country. But anyway, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and I really appreciate it. Have a really good day. Let's try to do this again sometime.
You will. Thank you, sir.
The information in this podcast is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease or condition. Nothing I say or write has been evaluated or approved by the FDA. I'm not a doctor. The U.S. government does not recognize the practice of herbal medicine, and there is no governing body regulating herbalists. Therefore, I'm really just a guy who studies herbs. I'm not offering any advice. I won't even claim that anything I write or say is accurate or true. I can tell you what herbs have been traditionally used for. I can tell you my own experience and if I believe an herb has helped me. I cannot nor would I tell you to do the same. If you use an herb anyone recommends, you are treating yourself. You take full responsibility for your health. Humans are individuals and no two are identical. What works for me may not work for you. You may have an allergy, a sensitivity, an underlying condition that no one else even shares and you don't even know about. Be careful with your health. By continuing to listen to my podcast or read my blog, you agree to be responsible for yourself, do your own research, make your own choices, and not to blame me for anything ever.